The Miami Dolphins are in a critical position. I mean, the past couple of seasons, Miami has been good, but not great. And honestly, on paper, they should be great. They are underperforming with this roster because it oozes with talent. A lockdown defense, a top 3 wide receiver duo in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, a quarterback who, when healthy and when he plays to his potential, is a top quarterback in the NFL. That's where I think this discussion has to begin. It begins with Tua. Much like the Dolphins as a whole, Tua has been good, but not great. When he's at his peak, when he's playing good, he plays like an MVP candidate, throwing absolute bombs for Tyreek Hill touchdowns, and people are like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Tua's taking over the NFL. But then, one major concern that cannot be understated has been Tua's head. The guy has had multiple concussions and head issues. He has to ensure that he can stay healthy and in his right mind. I mean, the guy's made it very clear that his health is more important than football. And I completely understand, and I don't think it should be otherwise. But Tonga Vailoa and the Dolphins are in the middle of a contract dispute where the Dolphins want to lowball Tua because of some of the inconsistencies and concerns, while Tua fully believes that he deserves a bigger contract, one similar to the likes of Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. And while I do believe Tua is a good quarterback, I believe he has outplayed Trevor Lawrence to this point, he's not worth the amount to become the highest paid quarterback. And to be fair, the quarterback market is out of control anyway. I made a video on that a year ago, and it's only gotten worse. But Tua has been given any opportunity to succeed. He comes in and doesn't really have a reliable receiving core, so what do the Dolphins do? They draft Tua's top receiver at Alabama, Jalen Waddle. And then to double down on that, they snag Tyreek Hill from Kansas City. Having Tyreek Hill is another level. You have to succeed with him as your wide receiver 1. I mean, he just makes it too easy not to do. And it seems like the same story every year for Tua. He starts the year off looking like a stud, and then he falls off, and everyone is left wondering, well, why did Tua fall off in the middle of the season? Like this year, for instance. The guy started the season with 18 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, while at the end of the year, he finished with only 11 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So yes, the interception number tells me he's reckless with the ball on both parts of the season, but a 7 touchdown difference? I mean, like, he definitely had his better games in the early part of the season. He has disappointed in the playoffs. One NFL anonymous GM says to let Tua walk in free agency, don't pay him now, and honestly, I can't disagree. I mean, really, I can't. There are too many question marks around Tua. I do think Tua can be a phenomenal quarterback. I think he can be a top 10 player in this league. And I mean, really, I do think he's a talented guy, but there are just too many question marks. Mike McDaniel will be the first to take the fall for this mediocre play if this continues. Look, we all love Mike McDaniel. He's funny. He's like one of those guys that studies Madden for plays, and it kind of works. And no doubt he's the best coach Miami's had since the Dan Marino days with Don Shula. And I know, fans really love him. But here's the fact. He's 20-14 in the regular season and 0-2 in the playoffs. There's no reason the Dolphins shouldn't be competing in the AFC with the current talent on this team. Do I think they should be like winning the Super Bowl or beating Kansas City? No, I don't. But getting outed in the wild card over and over and over, there's just no sense in it. It may be time for Mike McDaniel to look himself in the mirror and evaluate himself as a coach and make some changes, whatever it takes. Because another few years, 1 to 2 years like this, and Miami is going to be looking in another direction on the coaching staff. Mike McDaniel got this team to be good. Now he needs to take the next level and make them great, or someone else is going to do it for him. We live in an impatient NFL world, and coaches get flipped constantly. The Miami Dolphins can win 12 to 14 games this year if they play to their potential, but it is truly now or never. Tyreek Hill has made it very clear that he will be retiring in 2 years after his contract is up, and that's a huge loss to this offense. Yes, Jalen Waddle is a great receiver, but losing Tyreek Hill, believe it or not, loses your chances to win anything more than maybe a wild card game if you don't have somebody to replace him. Tyreek Hill is a major loss. I want the Dolphins to be great because this is a fun team, a fun group, but if they don't figure something out, they're going to be stuck at decent forever.